Secretary of State Marco Rubio has met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov in Malaysia. It comes as the U.S. has resumed sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, just 1 week after the Pentagon paused those shipments. CBS News correspondent Natalie is at the White House this morning for us. So, Natalie, this was an interesting meeting. Tell us what came out of it.
Vlad, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to reporters after that meeting and said he really expressed the growing frustration that we've heard from the Trump administration and the president himself regarding Russia's lack of flexibility when it comes to trying to end the conflict, Russia's war on Ukraine, and get to peace, these stalled peace talks. So he said he really echoed what President Trump has been expressing publicly, and he wouldn't get into the details of the specifics of the conversation, but he said some ideas were shared that he will take back to the president. He also didn't really characterize whether Russia expressed any new flexibility in trying to get to peace.
All right. So CBS News has learned, Natalie, that the State Department was cut out of the decision to pause weapons shipments to Ukraine. What are you hearing from the White House on that?
Yeah, the White House continues to say that this was part of a broad review and that since that decision, the president has approved sending some additional defensive munitions to Ukraine. But Secretary of State Rubio was pressed by reporters about that new reporting, and he really tried to downplay it. Take a listen.
That decision, unfortunately, was mischaracterized. It was a pause pending review on a handful of specific type munitions. That, frankly, is something that is logical that you would do, especially after an extended engagement that we saw both in defense of Israel and in defense of our own bases. And so it was a very limited review of certain types of munitions to ensure that we had sufficient stockpiles.
Now, earlier this week, the president indicated that he didn't know who approved that decision. But again, since then, a U.S. official tells CBS News that some of these munitions have resumed flowing into Ukraine, including artillery rounds and also some precision-guided rockets. Vlad.
All right, Natalie Brent for us at the White House this morning. Natalie, thank you. Meanwhile, Russia has launched yet another massive overnight aerial barrage on Kyiv. Residents were forced to spend the night taking shelter. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio. Ramy, what can you tell us about this latest attack, just a day after Russia launched a record number of drones into Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly, Vlad. Second night in a row of massive assaults. In this one, Russia launched 400 drones and 13 missiles, according to Ukrainian officials. And yes, this is after more than 700 were launched the night before, on top of another 13 missiles there. Kyiv, we're seeing, the capital, was targeted hard. 2 people were killed, 13 more, at least 13 were wounded. Fires sprang up in at least 5 districts around the city, and residents fled to shelters. Many of them, we saw, took cover in underground metro stations, and that came after Zelensky met with Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, in Rome. That meeting takes on even more significance. They say they talked about more American support, defensive weapons in particular, also support for even tougher sanctions on Russian energy. They were probably talking about Patriot missile systems too, howitzer rounds, Gimler rockets. Zelensky also said that they talked about this bill winding through the U.S. Congress that would slap tariffs on countries that decide that they still want to buy Russian oil, Russian energy, Russian natural gas. They would slap 500% tariffs on goods coming from those countries. So all in all, a backtracking, I guess, a writing of the path now from what was prior to this happening about a week ago. As Zelensky said, this talk with Kellogg was substantive.
So how close are they to getting anything done, Ramy?
In terms of getting anything done, there's more talking, really, Vlad. Zelensky, he's still in Rome. You know, he met the pontiff, the Pope, yesterday. After Kellogg, he is now at the conference, a Ukraine Recovery Conference in Rome. This is pretty big, though, because there are world leaders there, from the Prime Minister of Italy to German Chancellor Merz. In addition, there are about 2,000 private companies that are there trying to basically match up some kind of rebuilding effort with the country. Zelensky himself said that he wanted some kind of Marshall Plan for Ukraine. And for context, the original Marshall Plan, World War II, aiming to rebuild Western Europe. He wants another Marshall Plan to try to rebuild Ukraine. So looking ahead, their goal is to make $500 billion in terms of funding commitments. So that would be something stretched out over the course of a decade. But as you point out in your question, there's a lot of talk, but really still not a lot of action.
Yeah, but it does sound like a lot of money. Ramy Inocencio for us in London. Thank you, Ramy.